Welcome to the Solution Podcast. Why black men and women marry white men and women. This is what we're going to be talking about today. I have my co-host here, John Michelle, and we should be. What's his? Elijah should join us soon, in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So yeah, John Michelle, what's going on, brother? Everything good?
Doing good.
You all right?
Yeah, doing well, bro. Doing really well.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Why black men? Let's get straight into it. Why black men and women marry white men and women? Everyone in the group is excited about this topic. I'm excited about this topic. Um, let's hear it.
Well, so obviously, in my opinion, um, first of all, you cannot paint everyone with the same brush. So the answer is for many different reasons. So that's the actual answer for many different reasons.
Many different reasons. Okay, all right.
So it could be for literally meeting someone, having a connection, falling in
Sorry,
love,
bro,
and marrying them.
you're sounding a bit low. I don't want what you're saying to go.
Give me a second. I'm going to come off my headphones so I can speak up.
All
I'll
right,
just
no worries,
speak
no
up.
worries. No worries.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better. Yes, yes,
Great.
yes. Go ahead, brother.
As I was saying, many different reasons. It could be as simple as just, meeting someone, falling in love, and getting married. Not everyone is raised with a sense of in households where it was dictated to them who and how they should um, date to marry. Some households are white and black, and everyone in between. Some households you don't get any kind of push to marry within your own ethnic group. And if you're raised in that type of household, then it's like it's not a coincidence, so it's not really going to be a surprise that the children in that home will end up marrying regardless of the race of the person.
Do you think?
I
Do you
find
think?
that happens.
Do you think there's more of a pressure? Sorry, brother. Just bear with me for a moment. Elijah's calling me
Yeah.
right now. What's going on, bro? Are you jumping in? Yeah.
Oh, no, so I gotta go home real quick and show the police that it's mine. I gotta show them my receipt or whatever the box for it. I don't know why they making me do it, but at least I can get my gun back, man. But
Okay.
I'm gonna need like another 20 minutes, man, if possible, bro.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. We've already started. So whenever you're ready, just jump in, and
Ready to
then yeah,
okay,
yeah. Okay,
okay,
brother. No worries, bro. Okay.
jump in.
All right. No worries.
Cool.
All right, brother.
All right, bless.
Yes, John Show. You said I was just gonna ask: is there more pressure in a black household where you have the father's black, the mother's black, and is there more pressure to marry within your own race than, let's say, in a household where it's mixed race?
I'll be honest with you. It depends. It really depends on the culture. Um, I give an example. So you get some people from immigrant backgrounds, and this is where. So we're going to talk about instances where. Well, let me make it clear first of all. This personal view. I don't have a problem with interracial relationships. I grew up in a household where it was encouraged to date within your own ethnic racial group. So that's what I've done. But personally, I don't have a problem with other people dating who they want to date. There are some caveats to that, which I'm going to go into now. So, for example, if you some people from immigrant backgrounds, they come from a society sometimes where a whiteness is synonymous with success. Okay, so they come
Okay.
from a background where in their homelands they only associated whiteness with success. You understand what I mean when I say that?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you associate um the white race with a successful
Yeah,
lifestyle.
upward mobility. upward
Upward
mobilities.
mobility. Okay, I see what you're saying. You're more
So
likely
when they
to achieve something in life if you
right,
know,
there
yeah.
you go. So what? So even though they might both be black, mother and father, when they come from that background
Mm.
and they settle in the European homes lands, they may actually inadvertently groom their children with that same mindset. And then that child grows up with the idea of, I need to be with a white person for my own kind of validation.
So even though they're coming from
Two black a black household.
but from a different country, right? Or from
Yeah,
okay,
from a
moving in,
different country,
immigrating
and even
over.
though they've got a mother and father who's black, they may
Yeah.
actually be groomed to seek out a white partner because of how their parents, how they've been raised by parents who have attached whiteness with success.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So and so that could be a reason why, by the way, some black people, black men and women get with white partners. It could be that upbringing.
Mm.
I explained that it could be simply as simple as not coming from that homeland, from that background, and just being very open to coming from a household where nothing was pushed either way. So not from a family where anything was being promoted or pushed. And they just happened to fall in love with someone and marry them, which is, who should have an issue with that, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you do get some, you do get some black people who, as I said, we've got to look at trends. So when you look at, for example, in the celebrity world, in the sports world, there's a disproportionate amount of particularly black males who tend to date and marry white women.
Why do you think
Now,
that is?
see, and that's something where people don't like to really kind of, they highlight it, but we need to go look at the reasons why. I think it's important to look at the reasons why. It could be what I spoke about earlier, coming from homes where success was equated with whiteness. So yes, there's that. There's a sense of validation seeking, where they believe that that's if now they're successful, to mirror that success, they have to be seen with a white lady because that again is a mark of success. There are also some who believe, rightly or wrongly, that black women don't make suitable wives. Now that's the controversial part, and that's the part where you're gonna get a lot of camps either for. I don't subscribe to that personally, but this is the excuses that a lot of these guys will give.
What do you mean by black women don't make suitable wives? It's like, what does that mean? Any woman make a suitable wife. What do you mean by black women? That's a
because and this actually kind of really applies to only very certain communities within the black diaspora. So let's talk about inner cities or into black America, for example. Now, in Black America, obviously, you have a large percentage of the black population who have been, unfortunately, live in the most deprived areas. This is a fact. If you have a young man that's born and raised in that environment, he's not going to equate the women in his immediate community with success.
Are you talking about a working class environment?
Right, black environment.
Yeah.
He's going to equate the women in his community with struggle.
Of course, that's what he sees the most.
That's what he sees the most, and he's going to see. Unfortunately, he's going to see. I always say this: when you people are struggling financially, unfortunately, and in the lack of education, etc. Unfortunately, you're always going to see the worst of people in that environment,
Absolutely. Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the men and the women.
Hmm.
So if he sees that, as he is able to kind of find a way out of that environment,
Mm.
he can have the mindset of, I don't want to associate with that anymore, anyone, particularly in my home. So he's going to seek to partner up with a woman that comes from a less deprived and poverty-stricken background. Because in his mind, he's moved out of that environment. So he has to mirror that by being with someone who also is not part of that environment. You see what I mean?
I see what you're
This
saying.
seems to be, I'm getting this from hearing them speak. As I said, it's not for me, it's a justification that I don't agree with. But it's nevertheless, it's a justification that you hear when some of these men are brave enough to stand up and explain themselves.
Is
Which
it
generally speaking, they don't.
justification though? Is it a reasonable justification for you to come from a low class environment or poverty stricken environment, and and somehow you made it out of that environment, that and then you mix with a different environment, um, a middle class or upper class environment, and you want to distance yourself as much as possible from from that low class environment, that working class environment. Is that would you say that's me personally? I don't think it's reasonable at all. Let me just put that out there. But can you understand where they are coming from with that way of thinking?
No, I'll tell you why. Because
Mm.
then what you've done, that you've reinforced the stereotype that every black person is basically ghetto, and we know that's not the case. Also, it's very important to add that just because you come from you live in more of a deprived area, that doesn't necessarily mean that it impacts your character. There are people that have very, strong moral foundations, good people, hardworking people that come from these environments.
Yeah, but would you
They're
say
not
that's the
all.
minority? Would you say that's the minority or the majority?
Um, that I don't know.
Mm.
That I don't know because I don't live around it. I haven't seen it, so I can't make that judgment. And I'm not going to go by what the media shows. So I don't know, to be honest.
Mm.
I have to, if I push came to, I'd have to say that most of them are not that. Are more than likely to be that way. More than likely to be just normal, hardworking. Because that's the demographic in most working class communities, black, white, Asian, whatever. In most working class communities, most of the people just tend to be hardworking people. So I'm not going to make a specific case for black people not to have that within their communities. So no. Obviously, we do know that there are issues in these communities. There's no doubt about that. But to kind of paint the whole community with these issues, I think, is wrong. And you're kind of playing into stereotypes and stuff when you do that.
Mm.
So the point is, there's no justification. I don't think that is a justification, because the same way that he's able to make it out of that environment, there are black women that have done that too. There are black women that come out of these environments as doctors, lawyers, highly educated, moral people. He can get with one of those.
Yes, that's true.
He can get with one of those.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
But because of the psychological damage that they have in the environment, and there's a psychological issue there where they have to it's almost they have to validate themselves by dating or marrying a non-black, particularly non-black woman, particularly white woman.
I would never take away personal responsibility. I think personal responsibility is very, very important. I would never take that away, but I do take into account how a person is brought up, whether they had two parents or not, whether they were raised in a single parent household or not, whether they were raised in a good environment or not. Not necessarily just because you come from a poor deprived area doesn't mean that you're not capable of having a good moral outbring, providing you've got two parents there. And usually, those are the type of people that come out of those situations. They come out of bad situations. But I will say that I believe that the environment that person grows up in does play a part on how they view the world, on how they interpret things. It's not an excuse, of course. It's not an excuse, but it does play a part. It does have some influence. It definitely does. It definitely does, on that person's future choices. So that's what I would say in regards to that. But again, it's not an excuse. You still have to consider, but considering the environment does play a part on how. And I would say it's the minority that usually makes it out of these, of the working class environment. And I think in working class environment, it's just, there's so many people that do not, they just do not, they do not promote the good values that's necessary in order to make it out of the situation they can. That's why most of the crime comes from these deprived areas and so on and so forth. But yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, this goes back way back. This idea that, if you date out, you're somehow kind of, you're showing some type of achievement. If you go back to, even during slavery times and colonial times, you had, so it's a kind of colorism we're talking about here, but it's extreme, obviously, because we're talking about different races. But for example, in the colonies, in these post-slavery societies, you had people of mixed heritage who were the offspring of people who were, some of the slave owners and some of the black women that were on the plantations.
Mm-hmm.
And these mixed people gained privileged positions in society.
Yeah.
So initially, it was, if you dated one of them, that was also seen as a come up, because now you've dated. That's where the whole light skin colorism comes from.
Okay.
It comes from dating someone who's the offspring of someone in the position of power, who has that default, that kind of privileged position because of who their father was. And you getting with someone like that means that you kind of elevated yourself from your lower position, and that's where colorism comes from. So obviously, over time, when it became, because remember, in a lot of these societies, it wasn't even legal to marry white. But obviously, when the laws changed, some black people took that to the extreme. I said, I won't even go to light. I'll go straight to white. If I could get to white, I really made it.
Oh, I see.
And I think, unfortunately, the legacy of that mindset still exists with some black people today. Not all, obviously. It's important to say not all. As I said, I know black people who are not of that mindset, who are married white people, and they don't have any of this kind of mindset. So it's important that we make it a very clear distinction that we're not talking about all, because we all know people who do not do that, who do not have this kind of mindset. In fact, I know within certain religious settings, color is not really an issue at all, or ethnicity. They all see themselves as under one religious community.
Yeah,
So
that
they
would apply.
literally don't.
That would apply for me. That would apply
Yeah,
for me.
so they literally don't see any racial barriers, and they just marry accordingly. I know lots of people that are that minded, that way inclined. So yeah, we're not making any kind of blanket statements here, but we can't deny that for some black people, this desire of dating out is a result of a kind of post-colonial validation-seeking mindset, where they consider, dating a white person as being a sign of success, a sign of upward mobility as well, and also kind of, unfortunately, and more damaging for me, is they want to kind of almost erase their blackness with the children they bring forth. I never forget one time there was this group of black a couple of black, I think they were NBA players or basketball players. In fact, Elijah might know about this. And there were films saying, toast to light-skinned babies.
What?
Yeah, toast to light-skinned babies. These were dark-skinned men doing this, by the way. And I thought, look at they're actually toasting to their own kind of demise, ethnic demise, and that is a clear sign of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
See that video? Yeah, Elijah, go ahead. But I
Yeah,
need to
what's
see,
happening?
I need to see that video.
I'm sorry, y'all. Give me like 1 minute. Y'all give me a couple. Give me like 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
No worries,
So
bro.
Nelson, if you give me
All right.
10 seconds, I'm gonna find that video.
Yeah, that is nah. I need to see that for myself. I need to see that. Oh my days! So you're telling me they're toasting to light skinned babies? Why should it matter? Oh, I don't know. Me, I'm a Christian, guys. I'm a Christian. All right, and as a Christian, race is not a factor. Race is not a factor. What matters is that you are equally yoked with that person, that person believes in what you believe. That is what is what's the most important thing is that person is equally yoked, whether they are black, white, I don't care what they are. It doesn't really matter. As long as you are equally yoked, meaning you believe in the exact same things and you follow it and you're true to it, that's all that matters. Every race comes under the banner of Christ. Did you send it?
No, I'm trying to find it. There's reactions to it.
Oh, I see.
Give me another 5 seconds. Let me find
Yeah.
it.
Take your time, brother. Take your time. Guys, we are talking.
Here we go. I've got it here.
Yeah, you've got it? Can you share it?
I'll share it to you now.
Yeah.
And guys, this is what I'm talking about in terms of the validation seeking and I would call it a colonial mindset. So I've sent it to Nelson.
Yeah,
You can react to this.
Yeah, definitely. Hold on, I'm gonna load it up soon. Yeah, guys. So and it makes sense what John Show is talking about. I can see that happening. And I think it's important to talk about it. It's important to identify it and talk about it when we see it, because it's absolutely wrong. And detrimental to their own lineage, to their own survival. You're ethnically eradicating yourself.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me.
Me too.
There's nothing wrong, guys. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your race. I'm mixed race. My mother's black, my father's white. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. You should be proud. Being proud of your own race does not mean being racist. But I want to get into, there's no good black women out there. I want to get into this idea that there's no good black women out there. I really want to get into this.
I do too. Are we going to watch the video first? Or are we gonna
Yeah, we're going to watch the video first.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to load it up. There we go. Bang.
Man, let's get to another coon. We're gonna call this the coon episode. The coon episode. Jalil will die.
Yo, safety.
Nah, that ain't my
The
goddamn
LA
safety.
Chargers.
That ain't my goddamn safety.
His Beckett. And they nicked.
I don't know if y'all seen it out there, but it lost. I'm not talking about Los Angeles. Yeah, it is Los Angeles Chargers.
Get it right.
Los Angeles Chargers safety. Jalil will die. Did a video where he toasts to having light-skinned babies. We have a problem, people. I don't have a problem with interracial dating. Do you?
No, I
But
always told you.
man, when you start saying toasting to having light-skinned babies, trashing black women,
They're trashing any other race.
no, fuck that. We talking about black women.
Well, yeah, we know that.
But trashing the sisters.
Do they
For
have any
Becky?
timestamps?
Nah, I got a problem with your goddamn man. Not only, nigga, you a bad football player.
If you actually want to hear the video,
Man.
hopefully they've got it there.
Dissing him. They just dissing him.
Yeah, he's just dissing him, but you actually want to hear the video, don't you?
Yeah, actually, when they're cracking me up though.
All these missed goddamn tackles out there can't play in coverage. But you out here cooning too. On top of it. And the thing that pissed me off was you had all of these brothers at this table. Every last one of them were with a Becky.
Remind you of that Kansas City Chiefs picture with all them black players.
I ain't too sure about that one. I ain't sure about that one.
What?
Media take out full of shit and you know it. We don't know if them girls were fans or whatever. Now we know that Pat Mahomes, he had a Becky. We know that the little tap knock a bitch out, Kasim Hunt, he had a Becky. But we don't know about the rest of them dudes, man, on that picture. And that's why I said I ain't trusting media takeout, bro. I'm not trusting media takeout. They lie too goddamn much.
I understand, but
What?
There's a lot of these niggas out here with them goddamn exotic type Becky chicks. And those chicks, like you say Becky's. When you say they're my
man, them girls Becky's. That was
man, please.
Man, that was
no, that's all I'm finna say. My definition for Becky's are white women who are blonde. The old chicks who are they look
No,
like they
sir.
got a little Mexicano or white in them.
I'll send you the video with the actual video.
That ain't.
Huh?
I'll send you a video with the actual video on it.
You sent me the video with the actual video on it, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. Okay. All right. A second. These guys, we're just dissing them at this point. Give me a sec, guys. Give me a sec. They're cracking me up, though. They're making me laugh. I'll give them that. They're making me laugh. Giving me bad jokes. All right.
Yo, sorry about that, fellas. Listen, man, I had a real dilemma just now. I carry and conceal my pistol. I'll drop my kids off at the little summer camp, and I went to the bathroom. Usually, when I go to the bathroom, if it's like an open bathroom where other people come in, I don't like to leave my gun on my pants. If I'm using the bathroom, because I don't want people to look under the stall to see and be like, oh man, it's a gun, you know what I'm saying? So I'll take it off my waist and I'll usually put it up either on the toilet or like on a toilet paper stall or whatever. So I left the bathroom. I got distracted by the people that came in, the kids that came in. So I came out the stall and I left my gun sitting in the bathroom stall. So I didn't realize I left it until I left. I've been gone probably about 20, 30 minutes, man. I raced back. I'm like, oh my God, bro, it's a kid's place. You know what I'm saying? I dropped my kids off here. I'm like, Lord. So yeah, I was able, they gave it to the police. Somebody found it, they gave it to the police. I just had to go and prove to the police that it was mine. They handed it back to me. So yeah, it's all good, man.
Everything all right though, yeah?
Yeah, everything cool, man. I just had to sort that out real quick, bro. I was stressed out just for leaving it in there because I don't want them kids to get to it. Like, bro, that's crazy, man.
That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, bro.
Okay,
but anyway, yeah.
We're gonna react to this video quickly, and then, brother, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. But
okay.
Peace and blessings. It's your boy Young Judah. I'm coming again with another video. This time it's a former NFL. Well, he's a current NFL player. And he's been bragging online. He had a toast with his wife to more light skinned babies, and it's been a lot of social media outrage about this particular topic. And I just wanted to get on and give my 2 cents. I really think it's a shame we have black men, especially dark black men, making a toast with their white wives to more light skinned babies. Like it's just more on the self-hate path, in my opinion, man. It's a lot of self-hatred that we deal with as black people, and I think this is certainly a case. And it literally seems like the NFL breeds these kind of brothers, man. These brothers don't have no balls. They don't have no morals. As soon as they get them some money, they want to get a white girl. It trips me out, man. It's like the NFL breeds these particular type of people, man. I mean, the strongest people on earth, strongest, the fastest. But these people are literally spineless, man. And that's a shame. I'm gonna play the little quick 9-second clip to let you guys hear what she's saying. Him and his wife. So it's a whole group of brothers with their light-skinned or white wives.
More lights. Okay, all right, that's enough. Elijah, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, if that's that brother's personal ignorance, you know what I'm saying? But because he's a public figure or whatever, like, now all of a sudden there's a category of black men who talking about like big up to light skinned babies. No, that's that individual's opinion, and maybe a few other guys that like him. But I don't believe that black men choose white women just for status. I think that's you will rarely ever see that. I think black men choose white women because we desire, not, I ain't saying me, but I'm just saying black men in general desire white women. They desire white women because they meet a black man's needs. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, they don't give you a whole lot of trouble, and the white women have a desire for the black man that's unquenched, that's unquenchable. They crave Negroes, and so when you have a woman that craves you and would do anything for you, they have like a thing for you, bro. Of course, black man gonna choose white women, bro.
Can we just the backgrounds? We're hearing some
Oh,
feedback. Yeah. Can we just
oh,
yeah, go on, Elijah. You're saying that these black men actually crave these white women. It's not necessarily for. It's not.
no,
For,
so the black man not necessarily crave white women, but I'm just saying like they'll choose a white woman because a white woman is a lot of times they just a lot more submissive to a black man than a lot of black women. You know what I'm saying? And that's not always the case, but that'd be a lot of black man experience. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of
why can't they find let's say why can't they find black women that are submissive, because they do exist? Why can't they?
because like okay, I agree, but different black women from different countries. You know what I'm saying? You got like, for example, women in Ghana. I believe women from Ghana are very submissive, bro. They real subservient. You know what I'm saying, to their man. They ain't perfect. They got other kind of issues, but when it comes to that, bro, like yeah, they got it on point. As well as like Indian women and a lot of other different types of women. But as far as black women in the Western world, we have a whole different genetic predisposition. You know what I'm saying? Black women here, a lot of us are raised in single homes. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of effects that come with that, being raised in a single parent home, with only the mother and having no father. And just to add to that situation, you got the genetic predisposition of slavery that really kind of disrupted our physiological makeup of what it is to be a man or what it is to be a woman. You know what I mean? Like slavery messed us up in a sense where a lot of black men just don't know how to be emotionally controlled to be a man. We were taken away leaders for a very long time and were submissive and subservient to other people, other men. So now that we're free and we've been free, we have a genetic predisposition to being looking for handouts instead of taking responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And so it's as far as black women is concerned, they don't have black men leaders, and so they have the free reign to let their emotions, you know what I'm saying, like
but
run rampant.
during the Jim Crow era, the black community was 90% married, and the
Right,
black men were the leaders of their communities.
right.
So, I mean, obviously, this is not something that can't be overcome. We can overcome it. So, why is it that we can't do that again? If the black community in America was able to do that during the Jim Crow era.
Well, because mechanisms have been put in place that have set generations in place, bro. You know what I'm saying? So from that time, they came up with a plan to break all that up. And they used, look, I know people might be like, nah, whatever. But listen, they used the music industry from the 60s, bro, to focus and work on the black community and the black culture. And they were willing to wait it out generations, to work on it for generations. You know what I'm saying? To really get it ingrained, you know what I'm saying, culturally ingrained into a people to not be able to change and come out of it. And so, yeah, bro, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it's been a process. You know what I'm saying? And once they hit one stage, they took it to the next stage, they took it to the next stage. They really use the music industry and media industry as they use, for the rest of the world, but they use it against us. And so now you have, when you had, at a time when you had black families together, people get married and that's what they wanted to do. You don't have that anymore because there's too many things that's been put in place that take your desires on and put them on something else. So your desires is on, having sex all the time with different women, or just having a baddie, or just, getting money, or having jewelry and clothes and name brand stuff and all this stupid stuff.
What do you think of what JM said? That's like this idea of trying to get some kind of social status by marrying a white woman.
I don't agree. I don't necessarily think that that's the majority of black men's decision when they decide to get with a white woman. I don't believe that, man. As many black men as I know, I've never heard that from any black man, bro. Anybody. I haven't even really seen much of that. Maybe coming from a nerdy white guy or nerdy black guy who grew up around white people. You know what I'm saying? He might do that. You see what I'm saying? So he could fit in with his white comrades and stuff like that, because that's the world that he want to receive accreditation from. But other than that, I don't see a normal black man who grew up around black culture. We don't go for white women for status. We go for white women because they pleasurable. You know what I'm saying? And they don't say no to a lot of things that we desire at the end of the day. And that's why most black men get with white women. White women love black men, and it's a physical thing. It's all physical. It's all physical. You know what I'm saying? They are absolutely infatuated with us physically.
Isn't that a stereotype? So I know Jane wants to come in as well. Isn't that a stereotype that the idea that white women are easy or more submissive and black women are not? Isn't that a stereotype?
No, not necessarily a stereotype. I mean, it's life experience, man. Everything's a stereotype. Even the whole subject that we talking about is stereotype. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, yeah, white women, bro, it's when it comes to black men, they really kind of have they'll go above and beyond to experience us, man. I mean, and I've seen this in the United States. I've seen this over in the UK. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, bro. Like I think they're attracted to black men. They're attracted to us because we are physically masculine. We are physically more masculine than white men. You know what I mean? And not only that, but well endowed. We just like our build and our look is very masculine. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the physical masculinity about African men or black men is what they go wild over, man.
Just one last thing. I'm just going to give my opinion on. I think here's what I think. I think that when it comes to this idea that black women are not as submissive, and are not as submissive, and white women are submissive. I think this is more of something that's being observed in the West. I don't think this is necessarily true of Africa.
Exactly.
When you go to Africa, black women are extremely submissive.
Yeah.
So this idea that black women are not submissive and white women are submissive. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think this is a Western problem. It's not necessarily, and I don't even think that is the case anymore as far as white women goes. I think white women are not as submissive as people are claiming they are. I don't think that's true. Yeah, JM, go ahead.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I do still believe that a lot of black men get with white women because there's a sense of validation seeking there. Particularly that we were talking about the celebrities and especially over here, all those football players, they seem to do this. So my statement was specifically for that demographic, with regards to that. So it was specific to the type of black men that we see with some type of social status. And I also made the point that it doesn't apply to all black men. I said that, there's some black men that just get with a white woman because, that's what they find attractive, whatever. Yeah, I do agree, though, that there are white women out there that fetishize black men. Although I don't believe that's a basis for a relationship, fetishizing someone physically. I don't think that's any basis for someone to marry someone.
You'll be surprised, bro.
Yeah, because I wouldn't marry a woman that just fetishizes my physical being. I wouldn't do that personally. And again, I do disagree again with the fact that white women are somehow more submissive than black women. White women are more than likely to be feminists than black women are. So yeah, I don't really see it. Again, we're talking about, we live here in the UK, you're out there in the US, so there may be some differences. But from the white women in this country, they're feminists, bro. They're 100% feminist. Most white women in this country are feminists. They are not submissive. The idea of submission to most white women in the UK is akin to slavery, and they say that. So maybe there's some differences.
So you say white women in the UK are not submissive?
No, they push feminism more than Nelson. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely 100% agree. You just have to see the relationship, an average relationship of a white couple. You just have to see it. The way the woman talks to the men, it's a joke.
Well, yeah, a lot of British men,
running joke.
They too chilled out, man.
Running joke.
Yeah, they just go along with anything. They just go along with anything. Whatever she wants, they'll just do it. They're just there to please. It's like little slaves. They just agree with everything they tell them to do. That's it. She's literally the man in that relationship. I'm sorry to say, but that's just the fact. It is the truth. It is the truth. That's the average white relationship here in the UK. But guys, let's not forget one thing. What we are talking about when mixed relationships, this is a very small minority, percentage-wise. You're talking about only a very small minority truly mixes. And we're talking about like 15% of the entire black population will probably marry outside or step out outside of their race. That's another thing to consider.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's definitely not I would say though that I think over time, okay, so black men were more likely to date out. And this is the conversation we can have now, I guess. Black men, for whatever reason we want to give, we have different reasons that we put forward. But out of the genders, black men would definitely.
John, before you go into it, I just want to give a shout out to the Mighty Walk. He says, I'm gonna tell you the way you're talking about are the Zionists, which Europe, the Lost Battle, and the answers are all there. 12%, 16%. Shouts to the Mighty Walk. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, you've been here before, bro. Shouts to you. Yeah, go ahead, Jamshaw.
Yeah, as I was saying, so we've seen disparities when it comes to interracial dating, with black men being more than likely to be involved in one. But I'm sure we would all agree that going forward, of late, much more black women are starting to date interracially. That would be an interesting discussion next. Why are we seeing more black women in interracial relationships?
Elijah.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I'll come in on that, bro. So, what I see personally, let me just first give an example of what I see about white culture, particularly here in the United States. So since I've been back from living overseas and I'm getting back accustomed to living here now, I get around white people, and so I'm around white people and I'm around black people. I'm around everybody, you know what I'm saying, with what I do. And when I'm around white people, I notice that their topic of conversation, most of the time, it has to do with work, with what they do, or what they got going on. That is what they prioritize in their culture, white culture. They don't prioritize racism. They don't prioritize, all this other stuff you think. They prioritize, what they do in life. And that's the most important thing to them. And that's the most important thing for them to have as they're amongst their people. So, because their people, white people amongst white people, they like to ask each other, hey, so what do you do? What do you got going? That's one of the first questions white people always will ask you, man. And but that's because it's just cultural for them. They're amongst each other. They take pride in what they do and how they, the moves they making in life, and that, so. But black people, we don't necessarily are not culturally. We don't prioritize that culturally. In the sense, yeah, we prioritize that, but we have a lot more to us in the sense we're entertainment, comedy, and there's a lot more dynamic to us than just work. To whereas, now I'm talking about African Americans. To whereas the white Americans, they don't really have a whole lot to them, bro. They don't do they're very boring people, bro. So all their energy is actually going toward just the career and working, and that's their culture: career, work, white culture. That's it. So in that regard, they're set. And so a black woman who is used to a black man who's struggling with financing, struggling financially, and not necessarily solid in who he is, and real up and down in life, and his emotions, and to where she'll meet a white man who is solid. He is who he is, 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? There's no shame about who he is and what he do or how he talk or whatever. He just is who he is, and he make money, and he's set. The priorities in life is set. He's organized. He's disciplined, and it's not because of his individual efforts to be that per se, but it's really because he just comes from the background where that's the culture. That's just the culture, and so that culture is attractive when you live in it because there's money there, there's security there. You know what I mean? Like when you're looking at a black woman who comes from a black people and black culture where there's lack of money, there's always struggle for money, and there's very little security. So I believe this is why a lot of black women are going towards white men, bro. White men are solid. You know what I mean? And they're solid in their character. They're solid in, you know what I mean? They do things for their women. They buy them flowers and all that kind of little stuff. You know what I mean? They meet a woman's needs emotionally. They can take a lot more from a black woman than a black man can. You know what I'm saying? And I think black women see that, bro. You know what I mean? And yeah, they meet a decent looking white guy, whatever, whatever. They got to be decent. They just willing to get with a white guy. Yeah, I can see why black women get with white men, bro. I can understand. I'm not finna sit up here and be like, oh man, why is our women getting with white guys? They wrong for that. I'm not with that stupidness, bro. I'm looking at all angles. I'm breaking it down. What do they see in white men? What are white men like? What are they seeing in them? You know what I'm saying? Like you just gotta. I'm a realist, bro. And so yeah, I really believe that's why black women are getting with white men, bro. They just when they have too many bad past relationships with the same type of black man, and then they begin to. It's easy to look at that, categorize all black men to be that. We all can be like that sometimes. If we go through the same experience with certain types of people, then we can categorize all the people to be that way. If we go through something with women, you know what I mean, then we can categorize all women or all black women are this. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't have experiences with a few black women in our life. All black women are not that. But we just have an inclination to just stereotype, man. So I don't do that. I'm a realist, so I understand why black women get with white men, and I don't see nothing necessarily wrong with it if she really loved the guy. I don't think status is I think status is a very small reason. I know my man is really emphasizing status, bro. But look, man, in reality, bro, how many people do you really hear talking about getting with the next race because of status? You never hear that, bro. You never hear people reasons for that. You never hear even any insinuations of that. People get with the opposite race mostly because of it's just especially for black men and white women. It's mostly because it's just a thing, bro. It's just opposites attract. You know, white women. And as far as white women being submissive, I just want to jump on that what you're saying. White women being submissive, yeah, they're not necessarily submissive or more submissive than black women, but they have a greater desire for black men sexually than black women, and I believe that. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, black women do naturally because we are our people, we're each other. But white women, they have this crazy desire for us, bro, sexually. And what do black men like? As men, we're sexual creatures. Men, we're men. You know what I'm saying? So they want to meet that need, and so it's just gonna happen, bro. I really don't believe it's because of status. I grew up around. Me personally, I've never dated a white woman. I've never been with a white woman, bro. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that I never would have or whatever, but I just for a long time I never was attracted to them personally. But um, I've been around plenty of black people, friends, teammates, growing up from high school to now. That date white women regularly, and that's the status is never the reason. That date and marry white women, status is the only inkling that I see where somebody would marry a white woman for status is if that brother is really not really a brother like or culturally like one of us like black men, you know what I'm saying? He just more on a white culture tip. Like he grew up around white people, or if he didn't grow up around white people, he really trying to push himself into that world. You know what I'm saying? So if you do see a brother that marry a white woman for status, he is that type of dude. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be you gonna be one of us trying to marry a white woman for status. I won't marry a white woman for status, man. But I mean, sometimes, yeah, like, bro, you know, Negroes are Negroes, bro. We about the money. You know, you got some dudes out here that they know they hood, they don't care about nothing, they got the money. So they meet a white woman who got money, yeah, they gonna marry because she got money. You know what I'm saying? Like you just got some dudes that like that. But I don't think as a whole, we most time we get with white women, it's because they crave us and they give us what we want. You know what I'm saying? They don't give us as much trouble to give us what we want as a black woman. You know what I mean? They'll do a whole lot more for us in that regard only because of their desire for us, not because they're just more submissive than black women. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay,
It's
okay.
only because of their desire for us that they submit.
Let JM come in now. Shouts to you, Mighty Walk. Mighty Walk has just joined us on the panel. Let JM come back. And then Mighty Walk, I want you to have your say, and then I'll have my say. Yeah, JM, go ahead.
Yeah, so there were some interesting points brought up there. Some of them I agree with, some of them not so much. I definitely agree with. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that every single black man that gets with a white woman because of status. Because growing up, we saw, I saw this, and it's for some of the reasons that Elijah stated. They were fetishized, and then they thought, okay, if I get with this woman, it's going to be less drama. She'll basically do what I want, do what I say, and it's going to be an easy ride. So that definitely was a factor as to why some black men got with white women. That's different. So you're right on that point. It's not always about status. Again, the status thing was more about some of the celebrity guys and some of these sports stars we see who seems to always be doing that. With regards to black women that day out, yeah, I agree that in some instances I can see why a particular, especially if they come from a lot of dysfunction, I can see why potentially they want to be with someone that grew up with less dysfunction, that had more of a stable upbringing and are living more of a stable life. So I can see why. But again, I have to point out what I said at the beginning. For some black women, it is down to the fact that they've grown up in an environment where, remember we spoke about some of the immigrant families that come over, who come from a culture where whiteness is glorified. They come from some African or Caribbean societies where white people are seen as almost, they're deified almost. And they come with that mentality. So when they come over here, they can't wait to jump on a white man, because in their minds, that's who they were. That's who they had their own fetishes with regards to white men, because they grew up in a society where white is right, and if you get with a white man, your life is set, and it means that my blackness is validated. I'm not just a black woman that can get black men, I can get white men. So there is that too. There is an element of that as well. And we also see sometimes, and we've seen it with some of the older black women, where they have this, they get with all the wrong brothers, and they get with the guys, the gangsters, the thugs. Then they get played out, rinsed out, and then they're like, oh, I want a normal, stable lifestyle, so let me get the white man. That happens a lot too. I see that happen. Our dear sister Vivica Fox is the perfect example of that. She got ran through by the man like 50 Cent. Now she wants to get with Brad and Todd.
and Todd will take it.
Eve is another perfect example. Eve was getting run through by all their brothers up at that. What label was she with, Elijah?
Rough
What
Riders.
label was that?
Rough Riders, yeah.
She was getting rough rided. What did she do when she got of age? She jumped on the first white man that took her on. This is why this is another reason why some of them get with white men. They get turfed out, they get run out, and then they reach an age where, I don't want to. They got such a negative view of black men because of the black men that they've been with. They didn't want the normal straight-laced black men. They always wanted the thug. They got with so many thugs that they became sick of black men. So their only option now is, let me go for the opposite.
I agree with that. Mighty Walk, what's your thought? What's your thoughts on this, Mighty Walk?
Man, I think y'all got this all the way messed up. Like, it's so deep. Like, even when y'all just mention something like, let's say, black or white, right? You got to remember, a lot of these black guys are not accepted in the hood. So let's say typically they grew up in a well-to-do area, and they're not culturally or attitude aligned with, let's say, black women. So when they do approach a black woman, those black women don't want to talk to them. So since they went to high school, they went to middle school, they went to elementary school with these, white culture kids, they're more like them in spirit, body, and soul than anything. So no, they just won't mess with a black woman because they see what it brings. So you got that aspect. Y'all got to remember, race is not real. So it's more about where you come from, and you can almost tell it in a lot of people's voices where they come from. So I mean, you have that factor of how a black man will grow up in a white neighborhood, per se, quote unquote. And then you have the opposite with the same thing with a black woman. But then from what I see in, like, let's say urban areas, if a black woman wants to deal with a white man or somebody from another culture, she's really trying to extract resources out of him. She doesn't really have those same ideals. She doesn't have the same, unless that person is like a liberal and they're coming over and they don't mind dealing with somebody from that black culture. They just don't align at all. So first, that's always the number one factor. Where culturally did you come from? And then, I mean, now the newest thing is you got black men who are well-to-do. Let's say they're middle class, and they're starting to get money. And NBA players are like this. It's not like they date white women out of trying to, fulfill some ego. It's access. Where the hell are you going to find a black woman when you got $1 million home? Well, not a $2 million home. And it's like, you don't live like that. Even where I live, I come from a black urban neighborhood, one of the most popular. I'm from New Jersey, New York. I don't live nowhere next to black. I'm not leaving my house to go find some chick who don't understand how I live. And then when I do that, oh man, it's been times I bring them to the house, and let's say just a little disagreement happens, whether it's a cultural disagreement or they did something I didn't like. I might tell them to leave, And now all of a sudden it's a physical fight or it's a physical something just because they don't understand, like, yo, you need to have a certain amount of respect. So I just won't deal with them no more. So what I'm saying, like, there's cultural attitudes being crossed, but for the most part, I see like black women just doing extraction when they're from the hood. And then on the other way, the black men who are well-to-do and they try to get a well-to-do black woman, it's just not working anymore. They've changed. And why would I get a bag and then go and choose somebody who don't respect me for the work that I put in? So I don't know. That's my view.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah, you make a lot of sense, Mighty Walk. Yes. But are you saying? Can I just ask you a quick question? Are you saying that well-to-do black men can't find a well-to-do black sister, or are you saying it's just because of access? Because he has more access to all these white women, because he's obviously living a different lifestyle. So, why doesn't he make the effort? Even though that's the case, even though he doesn't have the access or as much access, why doesn't he just make the effort of finding that well-to-do black woman?
Because the cult, like, there before, it used to be cultural places where you could do that. Let's say church. Black families used to just do church. I'm 40 years old, so I can remember a time when church was a real thing, like body, mind, and spirit. Like, I'm talking about church folk, but you don't have that anymore. So what happens is, even like, I've dated man, she's from a very nice neighborhood. She works at a hedge fund. She's making $200K a year. But what she does is she goes to the urban areas because she knows she can take advantage of those type of black men. It's the same thing. And then, like, people like me, I match what she makes. But the difference is I believe in family order. And a lot of black women just don't believe in that anymore. They want to either take lead or be considered equal or a partner, but they don't understand culturally what the essence of a marriage is. The man should lead for a good reason. You don't see the world as he does. So what happens is those well-to-do black women, they see those well-to-do men as wrong. So they would rather deal with a bad right than a good, quote unquote, wrong to them.
Can I make a quick point though? Because some of these white men are out there saying the same thing about white women. They're saying that they can't wife them up. They're saying that they're not submissive. They're saying that they're feminists. They don't want to marry them. They don't value marriage. So white men are saying the same thing about white women. So
they go to the Philippines and bag
I don't know whether this idea that white women are like better than black women when it comes to this submissive thing, because even white men say that they don't want to deal with their own women.
Yeah, but I don't think you understand what's going on. Like, there's a purposeful media effort to change the thinking of how women think about relationships. So it was originally pushed on black women. Originally, I almost feel like it was a test case. And then once black women became that, you got the push on the general public. So now you have the general public believing in the same ideas, which is liberalism, that black women came into first. So essentially, they're turning into quote unquote black women. So this is where you have birth rates declining because people are not idealistically lining up anymore.
So what you basically say, Mighty Walk, it comes down to values. It comes down to moral values. So if you don't share my values, how am I going to get with you? You need to share my values. This is what I was saying earlier when I mentioned equally yoked. One has to be equally yoked. This is what we as Christians believe. Before you get married to a woman, you have to be equally yoked with that woman. That woman has to also be a Christian. She also has to share your values. So what we are seeing in society, when we look at the different classes, working class, when we look at middle class, upper class, what you're saying is that because the people at the bottom don't share the values of the people in middle class, upper class, that's the reason why the people in middle class won't mix with the people in the lower class. And you're saying all of this is purely just to do with with values. It's all to do with values. So it's not that the black man doesn't necessarily want the black woman. It's just that when he moves up, culturally speaking, and due to the values that he managed to accept. So, for example, if you live according to the right values, you're more likely to do well in life. Of course, that's not, I'm not saying that all people do not have the right values, but
but they don't.
it's
But they
likely.
don't.
Okay, they're less likely to have, especially today. But what I'm
Right.
saying is, so when they get to that upper, that middle class, they don't want to mix with people that don't share those values, and because there's not enough black women to go around in that, and they have more access to white women. That's the reason why they marry white women.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
guys, do you guys
Yes.
do you guys agree with this? I actually, my walk, I'm simple. I can see where you're coming from. Trust me, I can see where you're coming from. Elijah, do you agree with this? Then I want to hear from JM. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I agree. I agree that a lot of brothers who move up in life and get the status to get the money, and they don't want to deal with the problems that a lot of black women might bring. And not all black women are like that, but maybe they haven't met that black woman. They looking for that black woman, but they keep meeting that one. They keep meeting the one to give them troubles. So yeah, I understand. Like they might not necessarily just turn to white. They might turn to Asian. They might turn to Latino. You know what I'm saying? It's like they just turn to something else. Because for whatever reason, a lot of other women and a lot of other cultures just tend to be a lot more submissive and subservient and just fall in line with what the man wants to do. Um, yeah, it's difficult for a lot of black women who grew up in the Western world, to fall in line, to understand a man like that because they didn't grow up in the house with a man. They grew up in the house with a bitter woman, a bitter wife, a bitter mom who, expressed her pain towards men. And so all that rubbed off on them and they get with men and they don't know a good man or how to be submissive or anything about being a woman to a man. A lot of black women are like that, as a result of growing up in single parent homes, as a result of not having a father there, not seeing and they having an example of what a man really is or what a man should be doing, how a man should protect, how a man should provide. They don't understand what it is to be in position to receive that. And so, it's unfortunate.
JM, go ahead.
Again, I can't speak for the US, but I tell you this: over here, all these black guys they get with these white women, in about a couple of years, the divorce hits them, and that white woman takes that man's money and moves on into the sunshine. This idea that these white women are here submissive and they're smart. I tell you that they're smarter than a lot of black women because they get with a successful brother, give him a couple of years, and they divorce the brother, and they take his half of his money with him. So that's something some of these brothers need to keep in mind. Yeah, okay, maybe tough to get the black girl that's the submissive and blah blah blah. Some of these white women are playing games and tricks on these brothers where they present themselves a certain way. They know they're clever. They know that they know the issue that with the black community, and they know how some brothers are very suspicious of black women. So they play on that. They get in their faces, marry the brother, and then a couple of years after. How many times have you seen that Nelson over here with some of these football players? These white women on TV here making their own shows. 4, 5, 6 of them, all exes of black football players living in mansions.
Yeah. Right. Now, can I just ask you guys one question? Yeah. Who are these black women? Who are these black women that are not marrying? If there's a shortage of black women, all right, to go around, submissive black women and so on. If there's a shortage, who are these black women that are now, opting to go with white men? And why would a white man accept them, knowing that, they probably, coming from,
well, I can answer that. I can quickly.
They don't though. But go ahead.
Just quickly. I'm telling you now, there's a book out there, yeah, written by a black woman called How to Date a White Man, right? It's literally a book written. The rules. You know what the first rule is? Drop the attitude. This is black women advising other black women. They wrote a book. The first thing she wrote in the book was, sisters, if you want to get with a white man, you've got to drop the attitude. When I read that, I thought, okay, So you guys are actually taking us for idiots then.
Just to
Right,
add to
Taking
right.
what
us
you're
for
saying, bro.
fools.
This
I
is what
just,
I'm saying.
I just, hey, let me add to what you just said, bro. So with that, right? If the black women that you do see with white men, they are not the ratchet, problematic black women that we deal with. They are the good black women, bro, who get used by black men who don't understand that this is a good black woman, bro. Most of it's good black women that get with these white guys, bro. I mean, that's what
I'm
I see. I don't see too many ratchet black women with a white guy. Usually they're a decent black woman, bro. Straight. I mean, that's just what I see.
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
I'm I'm not sure about that. There's two types. Like I said, there's the ones that obviously they grew up around that type, and then usually the ones that are reading those books, like they'll go and they'll play that role. Like
Mm.
we gotta remember we come in like we're in an era where what's sold in the media is that you've been living in some time era where men were abusing you. So it like everything that almost every move that they make is out of survival. So they're almost trying to take advantage. It's out of resentment. This is not like I don't think even a lot of relationships are genuine now. So it's like it's everything is almost like a power move, and this is why you
Yeah,
have this book. Because
yeah,
if the relationship was genuine, why would you even need a book? You know to drop an attitude with a dude that you like. Like you don't need a book for that. So so
Yeah,
yeah.
so
True.
so so, so to, like and I'll say this. So it was this nice chick. She's pretty much a administrative assistant to the superintendent, which is the highest administrative individual in the school district around here. So I was just talking to her, whatever, and like I said, I do pretty well myself. I take care of a lot of shit. I have my own side business, all significant. You know what I'm saying? I met her at Barnes and Noble. We talked, whatever, such and such. Yo, y'all gotta understand there, and this is like a pretty well-to-do black woman. I would say she was black and Irish, beautiful girl, but you know, I went on a date with her, and then she said, "No, I don't think I can do this romantically." I said, you know what? I'm intrigued. I said, that's your choice, but what's the reason? She said, well, I feel like I would just have to be on all the time, and I feel like you're just analytical and just critical, and I'm like, okay, but I thought analysis is something a woman would want in a man. But it is like y'all gotta understand they don't really want men, and this is sometimes why they choose white men because black men are not with a lot of shit.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so they're going for the jugular and the bag rather than dealing with a black man who knows himself, is well to do. He knows the tricks that a black woman will play, and he's gonna call her out. But a white man, a liberal white man, ain't doing that. He's hey baby, until his ass gets screwed. So
Did you guys read the reason why Vivica Fox wants from a white husband? Because she's out there looking for a white man. This is what Vivica Fox said. She said, I want a man that is fun and what takes me shopping and lets me shop. That's what she
exa-
wants in a marriage.
exactly. They don't know what they need. They do not know what they need.
But they do know that they knew that, but she knew enough to know that she had to find a white man for that crap though. She knew that much. That's what she did though.
Vivica
Yeah.
Fox is a clown, bro.
Like I said, like we just have to realize like the choices now are they're skin deep. It doesn't even matter if you're black or white. Like it's like you said, JM, they could be white and doing the same thing. We just gotta watch out for the values, just like Ox said, the values are the strongest thing. But this is my thing. It is more likely that you're gonna find quote unquote good values out of somebody who's from a better neighborhood and we know what they look like. So, you know.
Uh, okay, guys. So whose fault is it? I want I want to know whose fault is it.
Okay.
Pause. What's fault for what?
Oh,
What's the fault?
I'm asking. I'm asking. Yeah.
It's the men's fault.
Yeah,
Thank
it's the
you.
men's fault. It's the men's fault. Yeah.
Why are men going for ratchet chicks? Why are men going for women that have no
No, bro, it goes
value?
before that. Why are they abandoning their families and leaving their daughters Father.
Well, that's a different reason though.
Okay.
That's after,
But this is
that's
this is why some of these black women are not wifeable material, is because they never had fathers. Do we agree with that?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. But what I would say is it because we lack moral values as men that we are not able to see we are not able to see what the right what the we're not able to see the right values in a woman, because if they can just deceive us, if they can just play a part and we go along with it, we must be blind as far as values goes, because a man of values know when a woman is putting it on, and knows when a woman knows when a woman is actually truly what she says she is, according to her values. So are men morally degenerate these days to the point where they get played?
Well, I mean, all people have values. You know, everybody has values. Some people have good values. Some people have bad values. But when it comes to values in relationships, um, that can be well overridden by your desire for sex, your value for sex. So in society, most men, have a value for sex more so than being in a relationship with somebody.
But isn't that a lack of value, Elijah? Isn't that a lack of values?
No, well, it's a lack of positive values and moral values, but there's a value in sexual pleasure. You know what I'm saying? It's still a value.
I'm talking about the stage, sorry, Elijah. I'm talking about the stage where a man chooses a woman. All right, I'm talking about that stage.
Right. So there's no discernment. There's no discernment because with a desire for sex, bro, it overrides. I mean, like at the end of the day, bro, sex like is king in a man's life, bro. Like that will blind you from really seeing a woman for who she really is, bro. When you see a woman and she looks absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, she got back, everything, and she not only do she look amazing to your sight, but she is feeling you. She talking to you. She throwing you vibes. So if you're the type of person where sex is like a priority in your life, you are gonna completely miss the fact that this woman is a monster, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you will miss it. Like you'll go on a date with her, and she'll give you all the signs that she is a devil. She'll tell you she just got out of jail. Her ex-boyfriend is in prison for life. She was in a shootout with him. You know what I'm saying? And then she messing with another guy who threw rocks in her mom's house and got her kicked out of mom's house. So now she got to move in with him. You know what I'm saying, bro? She didn't tell you all that, and I'm telling you that I met somebody that was really like that, a Puerto Rican girl. This was her story. You know what I'm saying? But if you didn't know that about her, if you was taught about how she looked, bro, like she would destroy your life, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Okay, hitting it, I could get hitting it, but the wife in it.
Yeah, bro. Some guys the desire for sex and the desire for want to get married, they get mixed up, and they had a desire to want to get married, but at the same time, the desire for sex that's immediate. They don't realize how that overrides the desire for wanting to get married, which is more of a long-term planned out kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
So Elijah, so you agree when your desire for sex overrides your desire for discernment and your desire for marriage, then that means it's the men's fault as far as being blind goes, because they are not able to see, because they're so blinded by their desire for sex.
Yeah, they're out of control. Yeah, there's like lack of self-control, bro. In order for men to be men, men need to have self-control, bro. Men to really be an effective, efficient leader, who manages people under them, family, business, whatever. You have to have control, bro. You know what I'm saying?
That's the main thing you need to have.
Yeah.
So we can agree that men lack control today.
Well,
we can agree that men are literally out of control today.
Not only are they out of control, but there are social engineering mechanisms in place to push that upon men in society. You know what I'm saying?
We have women openly shitting on men on social media, openly saying, "Yeah, I cheat, I do this," openly now, and still getting boyfriend dates.
Yeah, because
that's
people
crazy
don't
to me.
No values, bro. There's no it's all about
crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's two things though. Like I don't know where y'all guys are from in the UK, but like I said, I'm from I'm 20 minutes from Manhattan. I think the thing is when you live in a tight social area with a large population, like that's just like social media before social media. So these men over here, I mean, come on, you got ladies walking by all the time, and then the lack of values. You know what I'm saying, from the church not being so much of a thing. So of course they got weak. And then when it came to a time where in order to get a woman, you had to have stronger values, you didn't know you had to switch up because it was just like a low. It was you had to be very aware to understand what was going on. And then people generally don't switch over to being morally stronger over their lifetime unless they go through a lot of shit. So that's just one. I feel like population is a thing. And then I just feel like today is just not. There's no wars. Like there's no. Nobody's pushed to be accountable. Not even men. So if there's no accountability, nobody wants to be tough enough to be a stronger man to pull a good woman. So I mean, it's all a woman's fault. And even right now, people would rather go on Agnos, rather go on YouTube to the red pill space and complain about it rather than empower themselves and bust the moves that they need to do to choose the right woman. So even that type of thinking from men is almost feminized because are you really coming to a solution? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
We've got 20 minutes left, guys. 20 minutes left. Oh my days, this this is going to be historic. So we're pretty much in agreement that it is men's fault. Men lack moral values. Men have lost their values. They have lost their way. They have lost their dignity as men. And that's the reason why we are seeing what we are seeing. Women are supposed to be the followers. So if the head is corrupt, if the leaders are corrupt, if men aren't leading anymore, what can we expect from our women?
Well, remember that video I showed you guys with the this black woman on TV talking about how it's a myth that black men are not voting Democrat, and black women are gonna bring their husbands, they're gonna bring their sons to vote. Like that video really that showed me just how low like black communities are, where women are openly dictating, showing the world that we would tell our men who to vote for. Like I told Nelson, never in history have you seen that happen where women are openly saying we would tell our men. Women couldn't vote for hundreds of years. Now, being in the black community, some black women think it's okay to tell the world that we'll tell our men who to vote for. When you see that happening, that tells you that the community is in its lowest state. The lowest state. And until that gets reversed, they're not going to change.
And what is the black community?
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry. No, that was a question for you.
What is the black community? I mean, I guess it's just that's a good question. I mean, I used to have more of a definitive answer. Now it's getting more and more difficult to define it.
Hey, let me ask you another thing to think about, bro. So the black community in London and the black community in United States, or to say for specifically like say New York or Atlanta, is it the same? Can we say that this is the same community? Can we call it mutually the black community?
We could call it. There's cultural differences.
It is now. There's
cultural differences. But now, I mean, Nelson would talk to me. Seeing you guys' culture, your guys' culture over here. I mean, we're seeing now we got bad bitches.
Yeah, because of the internet. The internet is worldwide.
We never had that before. Now we're seeing black women in here talking about it's giving and these stupid phrases that you guys introduced. We got black women carrying on the same way over here. And brothers are like, what are you talking like that for? We're from the US. Yeah,
it's the same culture because of the internet. It's the same culture.
It's the same
community.
Instagram.
To answer Elijah's question, it's the same community. They believe in the same things. You know,
Right.
they aspire for the same things. They want to do the same things. You know, and they all get the same results. they
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
broken homes. They all get the same results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Yeah, sorry, Elijah.
No, I'm saying,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, so like, yeah, there are differences, and I think a lot of the differences have to do with, just our history, man.
Yeah.
There are similarities, but I think there are a lot of differences, bro. Between, I think there are more similarities between African Americans and Caribbeans than there are between, Americans and Africans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or
It's changing,
or
though.
Caribbean
It's
to
changing.
African. So you
Yeah.
can see the split in the cultures right there in London. You know what I'm saying? Like most Caribbean, and stereotypically speaking, most Caribbean people there, they don't really have the value in marriage, family, and careers and all that. So they just kind of live in the moment. And similar to America, a lot of American black people, they do street stuff for money. They have kids with all type of different women. They don't really have, you know what I'm saying? But whereas you see Africans, they have more of a inclination to do what their parents want them to do in life. You know what I'm saying? And they have more of a family structure in place. And the African men are less emotionally charged than Western world men, Caribbean and African American men. African men are solid in their emotions. That's just what I see. That's
Yeah,
just my observation.
yeah,
Unfortunately, Elijah, things are changing. See, that how long since you been in the UK?
No, I just moved back 2 years ago, man. So like,
unfortunately, a lot of the kids you see out here doing all this stabbing and shit, it's mostly African boys doing it, bro.
well, yeah, that's because they growing up in that Western culture. They influencing that culture. You know what I'm saying?
But
That
what
same
happened to
type of
them?
culture.
What happened to this strong family African unit
You ain't
where
seeing
most of the boys are engaged in this type of behavior?
you ain't seeing no boys who grew up in African culture, grew up out there doing that.
Yeah. They're not grown. Yeah, I hear that. They're not grown up in it. But over here, they're African, but they're involved in the same shit. Worse now. They're overtaking us. I'm from
That's
the
because
Caribbean.
they live right next door to the Caribbean boy in the States. They
Oh
live
no,
in.
don't blame us. You can't blame us for
You
that.
know what I'm saying? And
I'm not
I'm
taking
saying,
blame.
bro. Like honestly, bro. Like they dog. You can't lie. The Jamaicans and the Caribbean black people in the UK was the first ones really to establish themselves as black criminals. When then Africans came and moved
That's
into the
true.
black neighborhoods where the Jamaicans was living. When the Africans first came to the UK, they weren't doing none of that, bro. They was getting beat up by white people, and
But now they're taking
They were getting
over.
protected by the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans were
But now they're
protecting them
taking
from getting
over.
beat
I
up
never
from
got
the
beaten
white
up.
people.
I never got beaten up, bro.
No,
I
I'm
don't
talking about this your parents' generation. I'm talking about the 70s. Like this when the
Yeah.
black people first
My
started coming to the
parents.
UK.
Think about my parents.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like Africans were coming, they were getting beat up by the white boys, man, and the Jamaicans would come and fight for them, bro. You know what I'm saying? They'll fight for the Indians too, because the white boys used to beat up on the foreigners, man. But yeah, Africans didn't come to the UK with all that attitude and all that.
Yeah,
That come from us. That's Western world. Us scarred black people. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. But they're
guys,
taking over now, though. They're taking over. They're the goons here now.
but because a lot of them, a lot of them, that's right. But they also growing up here as well. You know, second generation, third generation.
Exactly.
They're also growing up here as well. Guys, we need to address some solutions. We need to talk about because everything that we've spoken about is kind of grim.
Okay.
It's not looking good, bro. You know what I mean? We kind of needed solutions here. We need some kind of resolution because
all right.
Because to me, what's being described is almost like a culture of death. It doesn't reproduce, and it's just annihilating itself. So how do we change that? Do we go back to a culture of life? How do we get men back in leadership positions? How do we change? I'm not even talking about changing people's minds. Me personally, I want because I know the ones doing the right thing will survive, and the ones doing the bad things will naturally die out. But you know, just to try to save the community, what can we do?
Yeah.
I think it's called oh no, go ahead.
So, yeah. So I mean, I did a men's group 3 years ago, and I kind of did like a case study. And I mean, I did a case study on my family as well, but and I, just for context, I got custody of my two kids, two different mothers. So I'm gonna go into it with that. So a lot of men make bad choices, when they do, pick a wife or girl, whatever. But of course, you got to pick up, and then you got to do what you got to do as a man. So in that instance, if you have kids, you have to go to court first. You have to be assertive, and you have to take custody. So in that instance, that means, if you got to pay for that extra room and a kid, you got to move to a better neighborhood to be at a better deal for the judge to hear, hey, they're going to go to school from my house. That's one thing people have to do. And in our culture, I don't care, across the globe, we tend to not want to go to the courts first because we're scared of the man. And the thing with the man is that you got to go to them first. You can't play on the back foot. You got to walk on the front foot and make a determination about what you're going to do. And then the courts will have belief in you because they don't see people do that. So that's one with the kids. Then two, you got to create a cult, like the strongest culture, which is why they break it first, is the family. So if you're the head of that family, before you even have a family, you have to make a determination of what the family attitude is going to consist of. So that means anybody, I don't care if it's your mother, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, anybody who crosses the line as far as attitudes and behaviors, if it's not conducive to what you're trying to do with your family or how you're trying to live, you got to X them out. It's none of that, oh, that's my brother, oh, that's my, no, they selling drugs, they shooting people, they doing all, no, they got to get away, or you got to get away, because eventually that shit leaks onto your kids or whatever, whoever's in that house. So you have to make a determination about what attitudes you won't stand or you won't be around, and then stick with it. So, and then like I said, anybody that violates, you have to get rid of them. Like my mother's very disrespectful. I put her on a 2-year pause. That's because she just doesn't understand. Yeah, she came from that same culture that we just been talking about, and of course, because she's my mother, she feel like I can't say nothing to her. All right, well, bye. You know what I mean? It just don't matter. So what I'm saying, be very hard and stoic about the attitudes that you will and will not accept, and to keep that energy bubble around you. And I don't care if it takes 5 or 15 years to find that right woman, as long as you keep that that cultural bubble around you. When you do finally let one in, she's gonna be how you need to be. So that's how I take it.
Elijah, go ahead. What's your solution, brother?
Yeah, so my solution to first to the whole, I guess it ain't really an issue. I guess it's just really sifting out the reasons why black women get white men and why black men get white women. No really solution for that. I guess the solution for not looking at it as something wrong. The solution would be, to really let go of stereotypes, man. People are people at the end of the day, and race, we gotta let this go, man. We gotta let it go. Because when you're racist toward other people, or when you look down on other cultures, or you stereotype like that, man, you could be cutting yourself off from being able to advance yourself in society, man. You could you could be racist toward white people, but it could be a white guy who will take his shirt off his back for you and teach you something that will advance your life forever, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I think racism, man, it stifles people. It stifles people's progress and growth. You know what I'm saying? As far as learning and becoming wise in society, man. But as far as black men, the solution for us to become men and become leaders, I think it starts individually with ourselves, man. We got to live with intent. When you just live day by day and you floating, you're gonna be whatever's just gonna come out genetically. You know what I'm saying? Or however your parents was. If you live day by day with no intent, you're gonna become just that. You're gonna be the combination of the two. So we have to live our life with intent. You know what I'm saying? And become. We got to become that man ourselves, and we got to work at it. And then when we focus on and we intent on doing that and we working at it, we're gonna share that. It's gonna come out of our heart and come out of our mouth to share with other men, and they're gonna see our lives and see the example. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it starts individually, and from individually to spread out to others, man, because they'll see it in us. And people influence people. Period. That's all people. That's all these people making money off the music and destroying us at the same time.
JM, what's your solution, brother?
Well, look, it's gonna echo some of the stuff that we just heard from the two brothers here, but definitely, I'm a big advocate of ostracizing people. I don't have a problem with that. If you got people in our community that are not gonna abide by some of the established morals that are important to maintaining a good, healthy community, then we got to ostracize. You know, so I'm with the mighty walk on that point. I don't have a problem with cutting people off, and we need to be more like that. If we can't just keep accommodating negative and wrong behavior, we have to have the strength to say, you know what? If you're not abiding by the same morals that I'm abiding by, then goodbye. Let me just associate with people that, you know what I mean, that are forward-thinking, progressive people that are not stuck in any kind of victim mindset or a low, you know, IQ state. People that want to advance themselves and progress in the society. We've got to build communities of people like that, with men that are accountable, that are responsible, with women that aren't loudmouth ratchets. This is why I don't understand why men are getting with these women. You got to ignore women like that. You got to put them to the side. Don't lower yourself to women like that.
Hey,
When
but you
us
got,
as men
but
start
it's
making
hard to do that. I was gonna say,
yeah,
man, some people they put up with
I hear
ratchet
that.
women because they have trouble getting with women. Period. So if they can get a ratchet one or a good one, it don't matter to them. As long as they got a woman, they just want a woman.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it does kind of perpetuate the same kind of issues because then
You
they
know?
have kids, and the kids are growing up in that environment. So that's the way forward. I think if we can get men to kind of really start to value themselves and build themselves up to the position where they've got leverage, where they don't have to get with the ratchet, they can get with the the more sensible women, and then build a family with these women and create kids. That's going to be the solution forward.
Yeah. Bro,
Yeah,
like I like nerdy. Go for nerdy girls, man. Go for nerdy girl, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
go for the
Stop going
nerdy
for
girl.
sorry, James.
yeah.
I
James.
think Elijah said it right. I think here's the key, and people don't like to hear this at all. The reason why people keep picking ratchets is because they have race loyalty, and there's no such thing as race. So, like Ox said, if you follow the values, you won't worry about race loyalty, and you won't keep picking from the same pot. You should pick from the biggest pot, just the greatest character. That's it.
I would say my solution is, as far as the mixing goes, statistically speaking, it's still a small percentage. The bigger problem is the lack of moral values. There needs to be a division. We're gonna have to divide ourselves.
Yeah.
There's gonna have to be, and when we divide ourselves, you have to divide yourselves, and under an agreed objective moral standard. Okay, people that believe in the same values, in the same thing, they need to come together, and they need to literally divide themselves and basically form a community where they are separate from those that do not share those values. And this is the only way that you will be able to control the narrative. You will be able to control what happens in the future, what happens to future generations. So people that are concerned about the future of the Black community, they need to seriously consider coming together, because they share the same moral values, and form into communities, and literally do not do not participate in the same degeneracy that everyone else is participating in, because the majority sucks the minority in. That's what happens. We live in a degenerate liberal society. So the majority of people are already contaminated. And what they do is they basically contaminate the very minority that are trying to change, are trying to do the right thing, so to speak. So yes, we're gonna have to unite under an agreed objective moral standard. So which means there needs to be a division. We need to draw the line in the sand and say, we do not mix with you. and that's
Yeah.
it. And that will, and if people are worried about the mixing aspect of it, that will actually encourage a lack of mixing, because once you are in that community, you do for that community, you live for that community. Very similar to the Jews, how they move. This is our community, these are our values, this is what we do. Any community that wants to survive what the liberal ideology agenda is trying to push onto us, they're gonna have to divide themselves. I'm proposing the exact same thing for Christians. We're gonna have to divide ourselves. We can't keep being lukewarm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One foot here, one foot there. You're either in one camp or you're on the other camp. What you can't do is keep mixing. You can't keep doing that, and then expect different results, because the majority peer pressure. When it comes to the majority, they have the monopoly on us. Because the majority are messed up. Unfortunately, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we associate ourselves with like as Black culture. We associate ourselves as Black people, just for the sake of culture or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, it's so much negativity attached to Black people. You know what I mean? Or that quote unquote Black people, bro. So much negativity attached to that. Me personally, like you said, separate yourself. I've separated myself personally from the being okay. Let me put it like this: I don't consider myself Black anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because for one, Black ain't a culture. It's not a nation.
Yes.
It's not. There's no Black. Listen, Black. Where does this word come from? Black came from. It started with the Portuguese and Spanish slave traders who first hit Africa, and that's how they wanted to identify us instead of identify us as Ashantis and Airways and Yorubas and whatever. They wanted to identify us as the product, because they was turning us into a product. And so they identified the product as Black, who in their language is negro. And then so the Portuguese and Spanish started first. And then once they started, the English jumped in the game. And since they jumped in the game, and so now they're doing dealings with the Portuguese and the Spanish now, taking slave castles from them and slave territories from them. And so now they're training with the Portuguese and Spanish, and they adopt the word. They adopt the word Negro. And they put an E at the end of it, let you know it come from England. But that word Negro is not an English word. It was created by
Can I ask a quick question to the Black American brothers? This foundation of Black American movement that I keep hearing about, and I've been watching videos on. What do you guys think of this for FBA? Is it FBA?
They're quote unquote Black racists. They're a hate group. It's a hate group. That's all it is.
Tariq Nasheed is part of that. Is leading that.
He's the leader of a hate group. That's all it is. Okay. It's all about division. If they were serious, they would be the most powerful group on this planet.
Yeah. I can see the power.
I missed that. I missed that. Who was that?
The Tariq Nasheed in this FBA movie. You ever heard of that?
Oh, okay. No, I haven't heard of that. No.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard of that myself. I need to check that out.
Yeah, they basically this what delineating, I think is the word they use, away from all Black immigrants. So they don't consider themselves as immigrants; they consider themselves as foundational Black Americans.
Yeah,
that's what I'm reading.
Here's the thing: everybody is mixed. When you go take a DNA test, you come back with hella percent. A lot of people are probably, I don't know, a lot of us on this, stream, probably, I don't know, maybe 60% Black or whatever. But we're so mixed. There's no pure anything on this planet. We are all mixed. So it's like when you start consolidating into one media-driven narrative, quote unquote race, you start to just categorize yourself in a way that the media, and we know who runs the media, then you start to categorize yourself in a way they want you to see it. So you start to believe and act like that. And I just think FBA is an example of why you should move away from that. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, man. We got to move away from this race thing. We calling ourselves Black people. Black is a slave identity, bro. We still calling ourselves slaves, man. You know what I'm saying?
sorry, Elijah. I reckon the reason why black people call themselves black people is because they lost that natural, like, for example, my mother is she's from a tribe called Ngu. They don't call themselves black. They don't call themselves a color. But the thing is, because they lost the connection to their tribes, they lost the connection to where they came from originally, and they were branded, they were given a name, and which is black. They had to identify themselves with something. So they identify themselves with the name that they were given, which is black.
Yeah,
So
I'm just American, man. Look, I'm American of African descent. That's my exact specific identity. American of African descent. You know what I mean? Like, there's no country called African America. There's no country called Black America. Why am I subcategorizing myself all the time when I'm strictly an American? You know what I'm saying? My ancestors lived and died on this land. My granddaddy, my great granddaddy, they all born and died on this land, bro. You know what I'm saying? So why am I and everywhere I go outside of this country, nobody's gonna associate me anywhere else but America. Everything about me is from here. Why am I disenfranchising myself from my own country?
And not only that, you deserve that because of the history that you guys have with that landmass and the work you guys put in. You built up most of the country, so I don't see why you guys don't associate yourself more with America, more than a color. Makes sense,
guys. It's been an amazing live. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Mighty Walk, we need to see you more on the lives, man. We need to see you more on the lives. We're going to be booking lives ahead of time so that you guys can prepare for it. But yeah, Mighty Walk, we want to see more of you. Shouts to Hassan, shouts to everyone in the chat, shouts to Jimmy Black. He's just joined. He said black women.
I love that name. That's a great name.
Jimmy Black. Black women are programmed to hate black men. Yes, but yes, they are programmed to hate black men. But at the same time, there's something called personal responsibility. They are not, they are not robots. They still have that free will. They can still think for themselves. They can still make choices. So yes, the environment does play a part, but also your choices also play a part. Regardless, we have to hold everyone accountable, not just the environment. But yeah, guys, it was an amazing live. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We're going to be having more of these debates. Shouts to everyone watching, and gonna see you guys next time. Elijah, nothing but love always. Elijah, keep
much love, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
These ideas, bro. These ideas. We need more of these because the title in it. I think Rashid mentioned he posted something about it, and then you said, we should do a live on it. So that was a great idea. We need more of these topics. Everyone, guys. Yeah. Peace. Salute.
Later.
Much love, man.
Later.
Peace, y'all.